One of the many takes on the purpose of life is that we are meant to pursue happiness. Indeed, we engage in activities that are thought to bring about happiness, or in the very least, contentment. This appears to be a fundamental purpose, especially in those who live far simpler lives, free of trivial worries. We must remember that happiness is a feeling, and like all feelings, it is very fleeting. Happiness comes and goes throughout life, and a more pragmatic approach would argue that life is primarily filled with pain, sadness, and distress. So, the question here is whether the pursuit of happiness is even worth pursuing. Is it worthwhile to endure a great deal of distress, as well as sorrow, just to attain a feeling that is not guaranteed to last? For the purposes of this video, it will be argued in the affirmative. Happiness is worth pursuing, but it does not come without its hardships. Just like the movie of the same name, the pursuit of happiness is often thought of as a triumphant success story. In the movie referenced, Will Smith depicts a struggling salesman who attempts to become a stockbroker in New York. Throughout the movie, we witness his desperate struggle to not only provide for himself, but for his son as well. As he goes along this journey to pursue his goal, it pushes him to his limit and nearly destroys him. However, despite all the hardship, he succeeds and becomes a stockbroker, thus fulfilling his pursuit of happiness. Even though this example is restricted merely to the fictional world of movies, there are real-life success stories on a comparable scale. Some of these stories are often denoted as rags to riches success stories. The point is to say that it is indeed possible to succeed in a manner that someone else has already done. The person whom you wish to emulate in terms of their success is the best candidate to heed advice from, as they have already done that in which you wish to do. You have probably listened to them in some form or another, but the mantras they will likely repeat is the one of commitment, consistency, perseverance, and desire. To succeed, it requires the commitment, which means showing up every day without fail. This leads to consistency, but to be able to maintain that level of consistency, it requires perseverance, the ability to overcome any obstacle and keep going no matter what. Finally, the desire to succeed, the want, the hunger to achieve success is what drives it all. Without that key component, then the others will be noticeably absent. You have likely heard this advice espoused by the successful people that you admire. But is it that simple? If one follows their advice, can they succeed despite their individual circumstances? Fundamentally, yes, they can, but to each person, the obstacles they face can be insurmountable and drastically unique in their minds. There are those who will argue that success is not so straightforward. There are variables that inhibit many from achieving what they desire to do. They could be financial, physical, mental, emotional, you name it. These are the people who assert that it is not as simplistic as many make it out to be. They are correct on the one hand, because every individual is unique in factors such as their resiliency, drive, and perseverance. But on the other hand, the counter-argument must be made that these statements are mere excuses. If we are to take this argument seriously, we must consider the alternative. Why is it that some succeed and others do not? The ones who succeed are the ones who have found a way to overcome the obstacles that they faced. It is that simple. Before you dismiss it as insensitive or naive, think on this. With so many people on the planet now, and those that have come before, one cannot assert that their circumstances are entirely unique. There is likely hundreds, if not thousands, or hundreds of thousands of people that have comparable situations. So, what makes you so special? If that is the case, why can you not succeed if someone else has who has drawn a similar lot? Everyone begins life at different starting lines, but it does not mean that they will remain there forever. People can achieve the happiness they desire, and it may take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but they can make it. The problem with success, and how one can go about it, is to toe the line of not making it so simple, but also not listing off a bunch of excuses either. Let us face it, we are all human. We all feel lazy and tired on some or most days. But the real difference between those that overcome and those who do not is that those who succeed choose to put those feelings aside and go after what it is that they desire. A final objection to the pursuit of happiness is that there is no guarantee it will work out in the end. One may spend their entire life chasing something, only for their work to all be in vain. Thus, they fail to acquire the happiness of theirs, and so they will regret the wasted years in the end. That may be true to some extent, but think of it another way. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Tomorrow is not assured for everyone. If we take a normal, everyday person, there is no guarantee that they will have steady employment. For all intents and purposes, they could lose their job tomorrow, they could foreclose on their mortgage next week, and so on. Even those people who generally consider themselves the lowest risk for failure are at risk of losing what they do have. In life, there are no such assurances for anyone. It is folly to believe that just because everything has proceeded as normal up until now, that it will continue to do so in the future or forever. Circumstances change, people change, and everything is always at risk. But do not despair, because acknowledging this fact will enable you to become far more aware. You will be able to realize that some things happen regardless of your control. The final word on this matter is how those nearing the end of life reflect on their experiences. When asked what they regret the most, they will often say it is the endeavors that they never undertook. "I wish I had the courage to do that," or "I wish I just took that risk," they would remark. Remember, these are comments from people that are at the twilight of their lives. What about you? You still have quite a bit of time left to live, do you not? So, if you are questioning whether something will be worth it or not, just ask yourself this one question. What will I regret more? Trying and failing to pursue it, or not pursuing it at all? For those that choose the pursuit, it will not be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But rest assured, once you reach the end, it will be like nothing else you have ever done.